Opmeer wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ronhard takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Stop it! Around the outside operated line shadow is contact again. Ronhard is around.
Bethany, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.
Hello everybody and welcome along to World Online Racing League. This is PC Tier 2 and we are the penultimate round of the season. We head to the home of British Motorsport in Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, first used in Formula 1 back in 1950, and it hosts the inaugural round of the Formula 1 World Championship, and we could have a different leader in the championship after tonight. My name is Jess Ball and joining me for the penultimate time this season, we've got Luke Etheridge. How are you doing tonight?
I'm very Thanks, Jess. Good evening to yourself. Good evening to everyone that is watching. Silverstone, we've said it already, it's a classic circuit. The British Grand Prix has been an ever-present on the Formula 1 calendar, even if Silverstone hasn't, but it's been there for, I think, the last 35 years now. It's much changed over the years, but it's always been an incredibly fast circuit, always been a challenging circuit for the drivers, and tends to produce pretty decent racing. So really looking forward to seeing which of the McLaren drivers can take advantage tonight.
Yes, with Lenny Bapinta not here tonight due to him racing in Tier 1, I would like to wish him the best of luck for that. We could see either Drake Dempsey or Morgan Ball take it, the lead going into the final round in Brazil. Drake Dempsey is leading that charge with 145 points, but Lenny Bapinta is on 147. So Drake Dempsey only needs to outscore Lenny Bapinta by 2 points, and Morgan Ball needs to outscore Lenny Bapinta by 7 points tonight. So that is the case for that regard. Pretty much no one else could be the top 3 in the standings. The gap is just too big, but we could see the likes of JST that could take Lennart's position in the championship and could take P4 in the standings, so could be quite intriguing in that regard. We only got 13 drivers on this grid tonight for this British Grand Prix, but still we have some quality even with low turnout in the past couple of weeks, so should be very, very exciting. Looking forward to it, and we may see some changeable conditions as well, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, when do we ever get changeable conditions in Britain? When does it ever rain in Britain? No, definitely though. Even though we have got a bit of a smaller grid, I think quality over quantity, and the racing tends to be close at Silverstone. You tend to see the pack staying quite close together, so it wouldn't surprise me if we have all 13 cars in a train for quite a lot of the early stages, and who knows, maybe a tiny bit longer. There is still going to be that lobby restart, which just swings the balance in the favour of those drivers that qualify in the top 10, because they are then able to get themselves onto a fresh set of the soft tyres. You'd expect everyone 11th to 13th to be qualifying, well, to be going on a set of mediums. And again, that all depends on if it rains or not. If it does rain, you can completely throw everything we're about to say out of the window.
Yeah, so we are about to get started then for this qualifying session. So let's just get all the stuff out, as a few drivers have already started their laps going into the pits. We've got a few reserve drivers as well, so good to have them on board. So we got Ryan Jacobs. He is in the Alfa Romeo. He's currently setting the benchmark time with a 126.140, and then we got Jonah Martins with a 126.4. He's in the Aston Martin. As usual, we got F1 legend in the Red Bull. We have got, if I hide the UI, that would help. We've got Matthew Roberts in the Mercedes, which he was so close to getting the win last time out in France, if you remember. Fantastic debut for him. He pulled off a fantastic strategy as well, which worked to perfection, really. He took a gamble. He was near the back of the grid as well, so best of luck to him. We got Marcus Towler. He's in the Ferrari. Obviously, we've got Morgan Bourne, Drake Dempsey in the McLaren. We've got Matteo in 10th at the moment. It was on the memes right now. He's in the Alfa Romeo. We've got the two Alpha Tauris of, where is he? He's got Hazy and it's Van Pookie as well. Good to see him go to WOR, and I think that's all we got. And we got Harvey Cowan, who made his WOR debut in Tier 2 PC around Jeddah, and he was almost close to be winning that one as well. He got pole position, I remember, around that track as well. So everyone has set their lap so far. Any surprises so far out of the top three? Marcus Towler has put out a blinder at the moment, P1, but still a lot of time to find.
Yeah, he's coming on that form from France. It's been a season that really hasn't worked too well for Marcus. I think he'd admit that one, but got a fantastic podium, second place, I believe it was, at the French Grand Prix, really getting himself up there, and maybe just now driving with a bit of freedom, a bit more confidence, and really starting to maybe come of his own on the PC platform. Was actually quite quick, came so close to qualifying to challenges, I believe, on the PlayStation. I think it was an infringement in the end with the track limits. That probably only gained him a tenth of a second, but in the end, it would have been an illegal time, so that did end up knocking him out of any potential challenges contention. And yeah, just enjoying himself at the moment. What is a bit of a surprise is Matteo Longhe's gone out on a set of the medium tyres, and a 126.597 is a very handy lap indeed on that set of mediums. Only half a second off of pole position, so don't be surprised if when we see Longhe on the red-walled soft tyres, if we see him heading towards the top of the standings.
Yes, indeed. Obviously, Matteo has become well known on the PC side recently. He's only attended a few races on the PC side here for WOR, but he did very, very well at Zandvoort as well, with only putting a few hours of practice. I thought he was going to do a few more laps on the mediums, actually, but now he goes into the pits. We have seen in the past this track is quite good for the alternate strategy, but it's a little bit hit and miss around this track, I have to say. The only difference really about more people maybe going for the softs is the undercut. It's so powerful around here. The pit lane, you lose a lot of time compared to pretty much all the tracks on this circuit. I think the only other circuit that you lose the most, I think, is Singapore as well, which, well, Singapore, you always lose a lot of time going into the pits. Anyways, Legend comes up to the line in P4. We'll see more lap times very soon as they're going out on their second rounds. We've got Isvan Pookie and Drake Dempsey, unfortunately invalidated. We saw a few weeks ago, because obviously we had our break week last week due to everyone watching the Miami Grand Prix, we saw McLaren wrap up the Constructors' Championship. They worked really well together as a team in France, and to be honest now, they've got nothing left to lose. They've done the team game now. They've really just got to defend for themselves. They can't afford to lose points for them. They can't afford to pretty much help their teammate out. They just got to find all the advantage for themselves, because obviously they done the first bit, the hard bit, which is the constructors. They've got to focus on the drivers now, and to be honest, Morgan Bull has the advantage, but only 6/100 of a second slower than Marcus Towler. Drake Dempsey is on an outlap though. Let's see what he can do as he goes through Cops, about to start his next run, and he's on the back foot at the moment. Not a timed lap on the board for him.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times from Drake where he struggled a bit in qualifying, but generally when he gets it right, I'd arguably say he's been the quicker of the two McLaren drivers. I might be a bit annoyed to only be 5 points ahead of Morgan Ball. Not that Morgan has been poor in any way, shape or form this season. We've just saw him come through Cops. They are going to have to keep an eye on the track limits through Cops, even if the game doesn't punish you. If you do it repeatedly and it is reported, you will find yourself getting a penalty. They need to be careful at McLaren. They're sort of in a 2007 situation. We've got two McLarens here fighting one other car, but that time Raikkonen was the outsider of the championship. This time, Pinter's still in the lead, and if things get a bit tight between the two McLarens in this race, and they have an incident, who's to say that the Frenchman still won't be leading the championship going into the final race next week at Interlagos?
Yeah, you're right, Luke. We could have two of the McLarens take each other out, or both of them DNFing. You never know. Anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. So you're going in towards the Wellington Straight now, and you're going to be heading towards Brooklands Racing, DRS wide open. I did not know this until about a month ago. There's actually a building called Brooklands, so if you don't know where Brooklands is, you do know now. And if you haven't spotted it, you're welcome. I'm pointing that right now as you're going to be heading towards the National Pit Straight about almost pretty much over 10 years ago now. This used to be the start-finish straight. One of my favourite layouts, to be honest. I wish they used it in obviously not modern F1, but obviously they don't now, as Drake Dempsey goes through the famous Maggots and Beggets section, which can taken fully flat, but heading towards Chapel, you need to brake a little bit into 6th gear as you head towards this next straight, which is the Hangar Straight, heading into Stowe Corner, where we'll see a lot of overtaking in this race tonight as well. You can go down the inside or outside if you want to as well. Pick your line as, oh no, this is not good for Drake Dempsey. He invalidated into Stowe, and again, he's on the back foot once more, and he's going into the pits. I'm not sure he's going to have time to set 2 more runs. He may only have time for 1 more run in this qualifying session. His teammate, though, Morgan Bull, is on a lap. We'll see how quick he is in the set to 1 timings at the moment as he heads towards Brooklands Corner as well, braking just before the 100-metre board. He's a 27.2 in the first sector, not quite the fastest of anyone in the first sector. Well, I don't know who is fast in the first sector actually as well, but we'll see if Morgan Bull can pit Marcus Howler, but it's not that far, so I think he can do it.
Yeah, I think he's got an opportunity. Matteo Longe, he's not found too much time. The delta, to be fair, isn't massively different between the softs and the mediums. He's up towards Stowe Corner now on a set of the soft tyres, about a quarter of a second up. Ryan Jacobs has gone fastest in the other Alfa Romeo. First man to get into the 125s, then the man known as Dark Killer, of course, over on the Xbox platform. He's had plenty of success for WOR. Longe comes across the line, goes into 3rd place. Marcus Towler, he's not improving as things stand at the moment. I'm not sure Morgan Ball is either. So the Alfa Romeos are really looking good tonight. Ryan Jacobs reserving, and Longe back as a full-time driver now, I think, as Morgan Ball's just had a massive side through Vale and Club. That was looking like a very handy lap indeed. Gets himself up into 3rd place. That might have been good enough for pole if it wasn't for that mistake. Because Fritzem, we've not seen him towards the top of the championship too much. He's only had 2 points so far this season. He's in 2nd place. That puts the cat amongst the pigeons slightly.
He's got nothing to lose, hasn't he? He's out of the constructors' fight, he's out of the drivers' fight as well, and its main focus will be on the F122 game and for the final 2 rounds to make sure that he deserves a place in Tier 2 next season, or maybe in Tier 1 he could make some odd appearances towards the end of the first season on F122. So that's per cat and Monster Pigeons. To be honest, as Harvey Karen came across the line in P3 with an Aston Martin 2nd row at the moment with Jonah Martins in P4. To be honest, Jonah Martins has had some bit of bad luck this season. In WOR and in other leagues as well. There's been a few races in a track that must not be named due to the things that are going on in the world at the moment, where he has done quite well. But apart from that, there's certain tracks where he's just got involved in incidents and hasn't scored many points at all. But he's got the final 2 rounds to prove himself at this moment in time. We've got Hazif currently in 11th at the moment on that strategy pole position. He's pretty much almost 5 tenths up on his previous best, so he is going quick at the moment on his previous time, but he's going to go through into the Wellington straight and see if he can find more time in sector 1. Well, speaking of the alternate strategy, well, a lot of people tried to slow down towards the line. We saw the likes of JG that a few weeks ago in France slow down to get the alternate strategy. Will we see people do that here tonight?
I doubt it. France has always been a circuit on this game and on the previous Formula 1 games where the alternate strategy has been extremely powerful. You can make it work around here, there's no doubt about that. It's one of the few circuits actually where you can also make the overcut work, where you stay out a bit longer, as Hasif just invalidates coming through Cops there. But I think because of the fresh tyres, of course, that these drivers are going to get, you might as well just go for things in qualifying. You might as well see if you can get into the top 10, and then who knows what could happen in the race. As we saw from Matteo Longe, the delta between the 2 types of tyres isn't really massively different, so I'm not sure how much you're going to gain by setting a time on a set of the, by purposely qualifying outside of the top 10 so you can start on the medium tyres. And it's not the easiest track to overtake on, so even if you have got that tyre advantage later on, even though the racing is always really close around here, it's not a massive braking zone into Stowe, it's not a massive braking zone into Brooklands, so opportunities for overtaking can be at a premium.
Yes, indeed. And I think we've seen in many other circuits on the calendar where being on the soft tyres doesn't make a huge difference due to the deltas. So that's probably why they didn't go for it at the moment. And it looks like we're going to have a bit of a quiet moment in this session as F1 Legend will be going in to the pits as well. These drivers do not have long at all to get in their final runs of the qualifying session at the moment. And this could be very, very huge for the championship. Drake Dempsey only has one shot qualifying to get his lap in. So is Van Pookie, but he's committing to the medium tyres. If he starts inside the top 10 on the mediums, this could be very, very good for him. We've got two people starting on their outlaps. We've got Matteo Longe, who's currently sitting in P19 in the driver's standings, and we've got JST, a man who I was discussing with Luke before stream. He is a man that can knock Leonard off a 4th position, and with Leonard not here tonight, this could be his chance to capitalise.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity for JST to become, that best of the best. Had a victory early on the season, a podium as well at Austria, but a bit like Jona, just hasn't had that consistency. He's only really had a couple of races where he's been there or thereabouts, and maybe this is an opportunity with a bit of a lower grid for him to shoot himself up. I'm surprised. I mean, he's out of the pit lane now. I'm surprised Drake Dempsey didn't go out a bit earlier, a bit more fuel in the car, and give yourself an opportunity to set 2 laps. You're going to be starting, as things stand at the moment, down in 13th. Even if you get a clean lap, you're going to be gaining 1 place. That's better than nothing. So why Drake hasn't tried to go out a bit earlier is, Marcus Towler gets a 5-second penalty for illegal blocking, and that is on the car. That is on a car that is on an outlap. So yeah, why you get a 5-second penalty for blocking someone on an outlap is beyond me, but be interested to see whether he has to serve that. I think the precedent in some other leagues has been, even if there's a lobby restart, you still have to serve that 5-place penalty. So Marcus Towler, no matter what he does here, the best he will qualify will be 6th place.
Yes, and he's going to be near the back of the grid, and I do believe you still have to start on the tyre you set your fastest lap on in the race as well, so that could be a huge advantage, but with a lobby restart, you'll be on fresh tyres anyway. So, luckily for these guys, it's probably going to be a bit of a relief as well, but Marcus Towler's got a lot of work to do, like you're saying, due to the massive amount of DRS trains, and with the top 10 being so close as well, Marcus Towler could be dropping down into last place if he's not careful. Ryan Jacobs is one of the first drivers to set a lap. Well, it might be his teammate, actually. No, it is his teammate, Matteo Longe, on his final lap first, as well as he heads towards past Cops, heading towards Magnus and Beckett section. Cops, you can take flat out in these modern Formula 1 cars as well. That's where we saw Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton famously come together. It was one of the most controversial moments of the F1 2021 season last season as well, and to be honest, a lot of people had differing views about who was at fault with this incident. But anyway, Matteo, let's make sure he doesn't invalidate through Stowe, which he does not. He just about avoids invalidating there. That's how much they're pushing on the track limits at the moment. So, Matteo Longe in the Alpha with that French helmet that looks nice. Goes on provisional pole position, something I was not expecting. That is very, very good. We also got a few more people on their laps as well. I'm just trying to see who's first. It is, I believe, I think it's Ryan Jacobs on another lap as well, actually. So his teammate is not going any quicker than his previous run then. So this might be it, but he may have chance to go for one final run as there's yellow flags everywhere, the phantom yellow flags. But can Ryan Jacobs snatch pole position from his teammate? Up to the line he goes. Ryan Jacobs doesn't improve on his time, so it remains in P2. But Drake Dempsey, look at that, 1:25.9. Saved his best lap to last, but is it too little too late for the McLaren driver?
With nerves of steel, that from Drake Dempsey. It was looking a bit like the first ever Formula 1 race around here, the first ever championship race in 1950 with Alfa Romeo dominating, but no. McLaren of Drake Dempsey goes faster. Jona Martins is going to be the first man to finish this session off. Can he find any time around Vale and Club? A lot of cars really struggling through there, and he does find some time. Jona Martins in the Aston Martin goes fastest of everyone. Then Morgan Ball's improving, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really challenge his teammate. He goes into 4th place. Marcus Towler, we know he needs a bit of a miracle in this session, up to 3rd, so 8th's the best it's going to be for him. Next up, we've got one of the Red Bulls, that's Fritzen, who comes across the line in 4th. Matthew Roberts has retired in the pit lane. Can anyone challenge Drake Dempsey?
Doesn't look like it at the moment. Legend is not improving. Well, I thought he was going to improve on his time, but he did improve on his time. Almost 2 tenths slower than P1 at the moment. Drake Dempsey, he's slowing off on his lap. It's Van Pookie's on the medium compounder tyres, and he's not going any quicker either. It's 1:26.5 for him, but at least he set about a lap, but pretty decent lap time on the mediums, not gonna lie, so I think he'll be pretty happy with that. Starting in 13th position, Ryan Jacobs, I think he's backed off. Yes, he's backed off. So I think the only man that could stop him is no one. And Jonah Martins, well, his fortune has changed around, hasn't it? Can it change it in the race and then get his first win of the season? We'll have to wait and see. I was expecting that time to be faster, to be fair, but he did it when it counted. Jonah Martins on pole position with Drake Dempsey close behind in second and Marcus Towler in third. Quite surprised. Well, I'm surprised that P1 and P3 are where they are. But Drake Dempsey, I was expecting him to be there, to be honest. He left it down to the wire, to be honest, and that was his one and only lap. But Marcus Towler will be starting no higher than around about 7th, 8th place. So not too bad, but I'm sure you will want to start higher anyway. But we'll run for your order. Jonah Martins P1, Drake Dempsey in a P2. We've got Marcus Towler P3, F1 Legend in P4, Fritz in 5th, Mateo in 6th, Morgan Ball 7th, Ryan Jacobs 8th, JST in 9th, Harvey Cowan in a 10th. And then we got Matthew Roberts, Hazit, and Isvan Pookie in 13th. Those three will be getting free choice of tyres. What a qualifying session, and I don't literally know who's going to win this race, but Drake Dempsey, he's got a chance to take the lead of this championship, and he's looking the favourite.
Yeah, he is. Set that second place, leaving it really late there. I've got to wonder whether did he leave anything in hand on that lap? I sincerely doubt it. His first pole position of the season. Well, his second place, actually. It would have been his first pole position since Canada. But yeah, Jonah Martins, he had a pole position at the Italian Grand Prix, another historic circuit, another very fast circuit, but in many ways, extremely different to this one. And he'll be hoping that he can sort of finish this season off on a high. We said he's still got mathematically a chance of finishing in the top 5 in the championship as well, even up to 4th place. And with Chandler not being here, with Bogan not being here, Leonard, maybe it is an opportunity for Jonah to really send himself a long way up the order, and I'm sure that's what he'll be looking for. Drake Dempsey starting in second place gives him the advantage. His teammate will be starting in 6th after Marcus Towler's penalty gets applied, so not an ideal place for Morgan Ball to be. Sort of once you're outside the top 5, it can be a bit difficult once you get stuck in the train in the early laps, so whether he'll think about doing an undercut, doing an overcut, just doing something slightly different, or hoping that he gets an absolutely brilliant start, we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, indeed. Make sure you do like us on the video, on the YouTube video, if you want to see more of us, more of our content, and also hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on so you know when to check out those streams as well. And speaking of the final round, we've got Brazil next week as well, and if people do not score well here, then pretty much they're going to leave it all on the floor for Brazil. And I kind of want to see a championship finale around Brazil be close to the wire, but you never know. We could see a big leap towards the two McLaren drivers as well. We also got to talk about certain drivers that are out of position as well. I'm sure Matthew Roberts was expecting a bit higher after his fantastic result in France as well with the strategy, but maybe he's not too bothered about that, knowing that he could possibly do well in the race. Maybe he's hoping for some late safety cars like what we saw a few weeks ago, in fact.
Yeah, he didn't sound too bothered in the Discord that he was only in 11th place. He seemed very happy. Described it as a masterclass himself, I think, always had alternate strategy. It looks like Drake Dempsey actually had wheel problems on his first run. Whether they appeared for the rest of it, whether he managed to get that sorted, I'm not quite so sure. But considering that you've got that in the back of your mind, it can always be that little factor. Even if the wheel is still working fine, you can always be a bit worried of, are things working properly? Is the wheel just going to stop working at that bit? You've kind of got to ignore it, which is a lot easier said than done. But yeah, he'll be happy to be starting in second place. Driving in front of him isn't really, a threat in the championship at the moment. If they finish as they start, which is a big if, Drake Dempsey will be leading this championship by about, I think I'm just trying to do some maths at the moment. He'll be leading this championship by about 15 points. That is a very handy lead to have going into the final race of the season with only 25 remaining.
Yeah, exactly, and pretty much whoever is in second and third place will leave it all to do in the championship finale in Brazil. But quite a few moments to watch out for around this circuit as well. Of course, we got turn 1 past the Hamilton straight as well. We've seen quite a few people have a bit of issues as well. We saw quite a few punches, remember. I think it was in F1. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was F1 2020, where Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas tyres failed. We had Daniel Kvyat's tyres as well, Gasly as well, and it showed that with the hotter temperatures, then they're leaving it all to do with the tyres as well. We could see drivers push their tyres to the limits, but luckily on this game, the tyre deg is not too bad around it, so hopefully we won't see any more punches as well. I don't know what the weather's going to be for the race, and I don't think we had any complaints on the Discord, so I think we are going to be having a dry session, I believe, so that will be a relief for the drivers, but I think the drivers also got to watch out for the obviously Maggots and Beckett section as well. We've seen like a Daniel Ricciardo dive bomb in a few leagues as well. People trying to go around down the inside into Maggots and the Beckett section. Doesn't quite work out sometimes, and people just hit a wall and cause safety cars. Let's hope we don't do that. But with drivers racing around here, we've shown a lot of respect between some of the drivers as well. But some of these drivers need to be a lot careful. And if I were the two McLaren drivers as well, I would not take too many risks here, because you know that the championship can't be won tonight. All you got to do, just make sure that Lenny Papinta is not leading it.
Yeah, which sounds easier said than done. I mean, they have got to be careful, but then the other drivers that are facing the McLarens are thinking, well, these two have got to be a bit careful tonight. Maybe I can send it from 5 or 10 metres further back. Maybe they'll just dive out of the way. So there's always that risk that everyone else sees you as maybe a bit of an easier target, because they know you've got other things to fight for and you can't afford to take the risk of getting the damage. So that will be intriguing, especially if you're someone like Morgan. You're in the midfield at the moment. I think in the end, the penalty has been rescinded for Marcus Towler, so he'll be delighted. So I think that's 7th place for Morgan Ball, pretty much slap bang in the midfield of this pack. He's not going to be too happy with that, and might just find himself getting into trouble at the start of this race. We can see safety cars around here. No high speeds at Silverstone, as Daniel Kvyat found out in 2020. If there's an accident, it is usually quite a big one. Quite a big one indeed. And maybe if you're starting on the medium tyres and you don't have a great first lap, you could hope for a safety car. I've seen drivers carry on until lap 25 around here, the Albon Australia strat, as I think we're all going to know it as from now on, just praying for a safety car to come, and on the odd occasion, it has worked.
Yes, indeed, and luckily the drivers were able to get into the lobby very, very quickly, so we will just about be good to go in just a moment, so we can get some racing underway very, very shortly, which is good news for everybody as well. Let us know your opinions in the chat on who you think's going to be winning this race. So here we go then. We're going to be racing around Britain. A nice sunny day, luckily, around Silverstone as well. Infamous winners around there. Also, we had Lewis Hamilton winning the most for his home Grand Prix as well. He had a fantastic race in the way, if I remember, back in 2008. Everyone was almost a lap down because of it as well. CRG Lutz and obviously Xander as well had successful wins around here as well. So 5.8 kilometres long, and it has 18 corners, and it has 3 DRS zones. We obviously got the one between Hanning Straight and Stone. We also got the Wellington Straight into Brooklands, as well as the 2 famous DRS zones as well. Other famous winners as well. We also had Shadow from season 11, and who actually took the title this season. Also got Sam Corby from the PlayStation tier as well, who's also moved to the PC side, which is good to know. So we've got quite a few battles action zones. Here's the first one. The tile rivals collided in Xbox Tier 1 back in, I would say, Season 7, I believe, as well, and that costed a few chances as well for them. And the final battle we've seen as well is also on the same game, I believe, but in Season 8, we're seeing a last lap overtake from Pinecone on Xbox, heading towards Brooklands, and that looked like a great move indeed. So that is the action zone you're going to see tonight, as I was talking about as well. A few other things to point out as well. The lowest grid position the podium finishers come from at Silverstone is 28th position. I don't think we're going to see that tonight, because obviously we've got 13 drivers, and usually it's a 20-car grid. So, yeah, we are definitely going to see that. But anyway, we have got all 13 drivers ready to go now, and hopefully these drivers have got the right tyres as well, because otherwise they're going to be in a bit of state of bother, not going to lie. So as I just get the tyres up, there we go. So we have got the top 10 on the softs, as you would expect, but unsurprisingly, Luke, the bottom 3 have gone for the mediums.
Yeah, they'll just be hoping that, obviously, it is easier to do around here than it is at other circuits. They can hang on the back of those cars. They'll be hoping that's not an early safety car, because hard tyres around this circuit are absolutely useless. And if there is a safety car, even on lap 1 or lap 2, you could see some of those leaders come in for a set of mediums and then take them right towards the end of the race. So Matthew, Hasif and Pookie, I think they've got a chance of getting a good result around here. It's depends how spread out the field gets. In a one way, you want the field to stay close together because it's easier for you to catch them up. On the other hand, if everyone's in a DRS train, doesn't really matter how good your tyres are around here, it is going to be extremely difficult to overtake. And I think Istvan Pookie was the only one who we can certainly say definitely went for this alternate strategy. He did not set a lap in qualifying on a set of the soft tyres, so he is really trying something different here and just hoping things can work from last place on the grid. But towards the front, Jona Martin's going for his first win of the season. Drake Dempsey knowing that if he takes a victory tonight and Morgan Ball doesn't move up the field too much, he's got a brilliant chance of being crowned the Tier 2 champion here on PC in a week's time.
Well, we are definitely expecting a new Tier 2 champion because obviously we had JST that won this championship last season. He won't be retaining his title, so he'll be handing it to one of the McLaren drivers or to Lenny Papinta as well. I wonder after this Tier 1 race, I wonder if Lenny Papinta will be either breathing a sigh of relief after tonight if the McLarens do rubbish, or if he's going to be going into the next race in Brazil a little bit more nervous. So I wonder if he's not too bothered, to be honest. I wonder if he may race another Tier 1 race next week instead of fighting for the championship. But we'll have to wait and see. The 5 red lights are coming on very, very soon as we're just waiting for the last few drivers to get into their grid slots of this Van Pookie, the 2 AlphaTauris, bringing up the rear of the field. So the 5 red lights are coming on here for the British Grand Prix here at WOR. And we are underway. Let's see who gets the best start. It looks like Jona Martins has had the best getaway as they head towards turn 1 into Abbey then as well. Will people try to go around the outside? And we saw an Alfa Romeo cutting off the course there. He's gone off the track there as well. Matthew Roberts not got the best of start as well. And we could already see Matteo Longe got a 3-second time penalty for that. So that's confirmed too, which that Alfa Romeo caused a bit of trouble as well. We can say JST and Morgan Ball going side by side into the Wellington Straight already. And there's no DRS as well. So JST trying to make up a few positions in this race. Heading towards Luffield now and into Woodcote as well. Almost into the national pit straight. We can see Harvey Cameron making some inroads as well. Morgan Ball just about gets ahead of JST once again up into P7 where he was at the start of this qualifying session. The top 3 pretty much remain unchanged. Jona Martins P1, Drake Dempsey P2, Marcus Towler P3. F1 legend though, looking pretty decent in 4th position. It's looking like he's had a decent race for him so far. Both the Red Bulls in fact have had a good start, so wait to see what happens. But Jona Martins didn't buckle under the pressure. He rebelled in it. He's had a great start.
Yeah, he had a fantastic start. It almost looks as though Marcus Towler was going to challenge Drake Dempsey on the run towards Abbey, but it's a very fast corner and definitely not one you want to be going through side by side. And in the end, Marcus Towler had to back off. Didn't quite saw what happened with Longe, Ryan Jacobs and Morgan Ball. It looked like Ryan was able to gain from that and get himself up get himself up 2 positions on that first lap. Longe losing out massively, down 4, and with a 3-second time penalty. It remains to be seen whether he can get that removed in the stewards later on. But pretty much as you were towards the front of the field, no major changes. Obviously, Ryan having that move up the field. If you want to get any overtakes done, now might be the lap to do it, because once the DRS gets activated, it's probably going to get even harder. And Ryan Jacobs is trying to close in through the back of Fritzen, who's obviously getting a lovely slipstreams from his teammate, and that is just helping him stay close by for now. The entire pack, apart from Jose Fernando, is going to be within the DRS range when it gets activated and able to use down the Wellington Straight for the first time next lap around.
I have to say, the 2 medium runners of Matthew Roberts and Istvan Pookie are looking good within that DRS train. They're not dropping down as much as we would expect at this point of the race. So great to see for those 2 that are keeping within the range as well. I imagine what they're going to be like on the soft compounder tyres as well. So keep an eye out on them right now. So we'll see who's the closest to make the overtake, or will they be taking the gamble later on once we head to lap 3 on this DRS straight. So we'll have to wait and see. Fritzen looked like he was going to get past his teammate then, but he's backed off as well. He almost looked too overcommitted there as well. He thought, I would go for the move, but there's not much space. Drake Dempsey not able to get past Jona Martin, but we know Drake Dempsey. He's an experienced driver. We've seen him take the wins here in WOR in the past because he's been so patient as well. So he is definitely keeping his cool at the moment. Don't forget, this is his first full season on the PC side. He took part in one race last season in Abu Dhabi, but this is his first full season. To be honest, he probably wouldn't be expecting to be challenging for the title, but he is actually expecting to take the title as well. And it could be an interesting rivalry between himself and Morgan Ball. Fritz is looking very good though towards Brooklyn's end. Is he going to go down the inside in towards Brooklyn's and Luffield? He's going to try and look and look and look, but he does not, unfortunately. Legend just about holds on. No one else able to get challenged to move. Trey Dempsey again staying behind Jonah Martins and saving a bit of his battery as well. I wonder if he's got something else up his sleeve there.
Yeah, he's thinking about the long game at the moment. He knows he doesn't really need to rush too much. Oh, big moment there from Legend. He definitely looks as though he's got a faster car in a straight line. Maybe just knocked a bit too much downforce off because he's really struggling through some of these corners, and he's now dropped outside of the DRS range, and I'm not sure he was back in it at the detection point, so this should be one of the easiest overtakes you see all day long. Fritz is going to streak past. Drake Dempsey has taken the lead in this race, getting ahead of Jonah Martins, and Ryan Jacobs trying to follow through on Legend as well. Those two are going to be battling side by side. And in fact, Ryan Jacobs loses out to Morgan Ball, loses out to JST in all of this. So he's gone for a move. In the end, goes for an early pit stop and retires from the race.
Yeah, Ryan Jacobs, I literally do not know what happened there, why he lost it like that as well, unfortunately. But that allowed a lot of people to climb up, including Harvey Cowan and Matteo Longate as well. So not the races he would want to be. But he even said himself, I think most of the Xbox drivers have said themselves, this was technically a warm-up for their race tomorrow. But with the way the calendar has now come about, because obviously the Miami Grand Prix was last week, Xbox is the first tier on a race week, so they won't have the time to practice for their race as well. So pretty much, this is just an extra bonus race for them. If they don't do well on Xbox, then it's kind of like redemption on the PC side. As F1 Legend has had a bit of an off as well. He's spun, heading towards the old pit straight. That is unfortunate as well. He was running very, very well as well. I wonder if he lost a bit of tyre temperature as well. His tyres must be very hot. Does not look he's got a bit of damage though to his car, so he's able to keep going, but he's out that DRS train now as well. That means Fritzen is out of DRS to Marcus Towler, unfortunately, as well, which is a bit of a shame. Will that allow Morgan Ball to get past the pair? Then we'll have to wait and see. We've got Matteo Longay right on the back of Harvey Cowan, and is he going to go for a move into Stowe? No, they stay ahead for the time being. A lot of people are going for the patient game at the moment, and we are starting to see Morgan Ball wanting to stay ahead of Harvey Cowan. Harvey Cowan is looking very quick on those soft tyres as well. I wonder if Morgan Ball is pushing a little bit too much there as well, even though he got past Harvey Cowan a moment ago. Well, he's going to find it even hard just to stay ahead as well. And don't forget, the McLarens, they can't double stat on this game, so they're going to lose chunks of time. So they got to decide when it's the best time to pit. Morgan Ball will probably have to compromise, but they're both in a championship fight. So what would you do if you were the McLaren team boss at this second?
I'd just let them race at the moment. Like I said, I think it's one of those tracks you can get away with staying out a lap longer. So yeah, if I was a team boss, and I presume there's not a lot of communication maybe going on between these two now that they are really in the thick over this title battle, I'd just do your own thing. Drake gets first attempt because he's the driver that's leading at the moment. So Morgan's kind of just got to react to what Drake does. Maybe when it comes to your pit laps, you've got to think, do I go one before, or do I just see if Drake pits, and if he doesn't, I can come in, and if he does, I have to stay out that one extra lap. And there's not much I can do, but at least I'll have fresher tyres for later on. While you're in the DRS, you're probably not losing too much at the moment, although Morgan did get overtaken by JST last time around. I think it was actually coming through Cops. Drake Dempsey also got overtaken the previous lap by Jonah Martins. I think F1 Legend, he's got a very slippery car. Unfortunately for him, it's a bit too slippery in the corners. He had a massive moment a couple of laps ago into Cops, which led to him getting overtaken by Fritzen. I'm guessing he was just lit up the rear tyres coming out of Luffield and then almost spun towards the old pit lane at Woodcut. It's looking intriguing. We've got a split in the field now because of the battle in between the two Red Bulls. It's allowed the front three drivers to get away. And we haven't spoke about the man in third place who did get his penalty taken off him. Marcus Towler, maybe, after a couple of weeks ago, just getting that first podium of the season, thinks he's got an opportunity of getting his first WOR PC win.
We'll have to wait and see. He's another driver that's come from console to the PC side. Marcus Towler has actually came from the PlayStation side as well. And to be honest, he's adapting it quite nicely as well. He's also had some chances in some team events as well, and also races in PSGL too. So it's not just WOR where he's got that PC experience. And who knows, if he gets the experience again in F1 esports, then he'll be well prepared if he ever races on the PC for the Pro Series, if he gets selected at all. So good experience as well. It will help him improve as well, and I'm sure his esports team will definitely help him with that too. So we are starting to see Matteo Longay catch up to Harvey Cowan now as well, and these guys are going to keep squabbling, which allows the top three just to break away a little bit. Matteo Longay, which way is he going to look? Is he going to go left, or is he going to go right, or is he going to stay where he is? He's not going to go any direction. He is just going to pretty much wait to see if any of the four in front of him make a mistake, because that is the train that he is right now. We've got Fritzen, who is leading that train, and then we've got JST, Morgan Ball and Harvey Cowan as well. None of the front two are pretty much budging. Here is Marcus Towler as well. I think it's going to come down to pit stops, to be honest as well. If you're stuck in that train, I would pit, as F1 Legend has gone into the pit, and usually 5-ticket penalties for speeding in the pit lane usually means that they're probably going to retire. He's not retiring though. Well, to be honest, with so few drivers, you don't really want to retire, because you never know, there could be retirements and you could be scoring some points there. Drake Dempsey got awfully close to the back of Jonah Martins there, heading towards Luffield, and maybe he could go for a move towards Stone maybe later on in this lap.
Yeah, but in the end, getting a bit of a better exit through Luffield for Jonah Martins. Matteo Longay has looked racy. Morgan Ball is looking racy as well. They've clearly got no want to be hanging around in this train behind Fritz and behind JST at the moment, and I'm sure they'll be hoping that Jay can get ahead of Fritz. And F1 Legend going out on the hard tyre, that is an interesting call, I think, to say the least. Very surprised that he has decided to do that. We've already spoken about the hard tyres not being brilliant around here. Jonah Martins less than 4/10 of a second ahead going into Chapel, means that Drake Dempsey would have had an opportunity to go for the overtake if he wanted to. Quite happy to just sit back on this occasion and stay in that position. And JST as well, not able to get close enough to go for an overtake. Harvey Cowan almost still able to get alongside Morgan Ball, just had to back out of that one. Was never really fully committed to sending one into Vale and Cup there, and Morgan, I think quite wisely, gave him enough room to just back out of that one. So they've lost a tiny bit of time to Fritzen and JST. No one seems to be able to get close enough to overtake, and when they do, as we saw from Drake Dempsey, they're not too bothered about the moment about leading any train, and are quite happy just to save up their battery and stay behind. I mean, Drake Dempsey's got nearly 60% more VRS than Jonah Martins at the moment. Is he going to go for the move into Brooklands? No, stays behind once more.
Yes, we've pretty much got an Aston Martin versus a McLaren for the top two, and we got McLaren versus Aston Martin for P6 in this race as well. So interesting battles from both of the teams as well, and I'm sure Aston Martin will be looking for a bit of redemption as well, and Jonah Martins is probably happy that he's got a teammate for tonight's race that could potentially help him in that regard. Maybe Harvey Cowan will probably stay out a lap later, or maybe to try and make sure he can keep the under McLaren driver behind as well. Team tactics may become a factor as well coming into this as well, and Dre Dempsey has saved up a lot of his battery. Is he going to go for the move this time? He's got a brilliant run into Stowe corner, down the right hand side he goes, keeping the line on the apex as well into Stowe, and that was absolutely brilliant from the McLaren driver, the man who's looking favoured to take the lead of this Drivers' Championship by the end of tonight. Is now P1 on the road. Can he keep it up there till the pit stops? Absolutely brilliant for Mr. Dempsey.
Yeah, and will he just use that extra battery that he's got to try and break a 1 second window at the moment? That could be crucial in determining the outcome of this race. The couple of laps he spent deciding not to go for things has almost allowed Fritzen to get back within DRS range, and he does just briefly pop back within that 1 second, and that'd be a godsend for the Red Bull driver if he can get back within that DRS range, because of course that just protects him from JSC just outside of it once more. But he's putting in a good performance, Fritzen. 2 points all season. Red Bull as a team, I think, have only had 6 points. This is a brilliant result. This is treble the points that Red Bull would have had all season. Still a long way to go. Still 2/3 of the race, so still anything can happen. They don't need to be getting too overexcited. We're not seeing anyone looking like they're going to go for a pit stop, but I wouldn't be surprised if Matteo Longay is one of the first ones, because he's got that 3 second penalty. As things stand at the moment, he would lose out to Matthew Roberts and Istvan Pukki, and despite looking like he's got the better pace than those drivers ahead of him, he's just not able to do anything in this train.
Well, the softs are meant to be lasting 13 laps. Expect the drivers to come in either at the end of this lap or the end of next lap for a set of the medium compounder tyres. So we'll see if one in the front lot will be going into the pit lane. None of them is thinking about it at the moment, but we do see Morgan Ball in the distance go into the pits, covering off his teammate, and he's got a 5-second penalty. That is huge for his championship hopes. I'm a bit shocked, actually. I thought Jay Dempsey will be going for the undercut, but no, it's Morgan Ball going for the undercut, but showing if they go this way, they've got nothing to lose. So they thought, why not pit Morgan Ball and go in for a set of the medium compound tyres? I'm quite surprised more people did not go into the pits and follow Morgan Ball. I thought the guys behind him would have followed, the likes of Harvey Cowan and Matteo Longay, but no. So I'm almost certain the rest of the soft runners will be coming in to respond to Morgan Ball, because otherwise the likes of Harvey and Matteo will lose out. I don't think anyone else would lose out. Actually, they could, because of that huge. The DRS train has increased a lot. We're starting to see the medium tyres becoming to be the faster tyre, as Matthew Roberts is now 6 tenths behind Matteo Longay as well. If that gap goes down quite considerably, we know that the softs are almost past their sell-by date. So we'll have to wait and see. It is coming down by quite a lot now. So, yeah, pretty much the top 7 will need to think about coming in.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the gap between Morgan Ball and the leader. It's 31 seconds at the moment. If any of these drivers are being engineered by someone watching the stream, they might be saying, look, Morgan's got a penalty. Just stick to your own strategy. Do not react to what Morgan Ball is doing, because a 5-second speeding penalty is probably, unless you've been hit into the pit lane, one of the most slam dunk penalties on the F1 game, and you are not going to be able to get that one removed. As a few drivers have reacted, though. We've got Jan Martins and I think JST, Harvey Cowan coming in as well. And that's a big disaster for Harvey, because his teammate is coming in just in front of him. He's going to have to double stack Matteo Longay as a pit lane speeding penalty. Things going from bad to worse for that man in the Alfa Romeo. But Harvey Cowan is going to lose a good couple of seconds here and could well drop off the back of this train.
We'll keep an eye on Morgan Ball then as he heads towards Stowe. He's going to be the benchmark at the moment. But Morgan Ball's got a 3-second time penalty. He went wide through Stowe corner, which is so easy to do. I've done it a few times on the F1 games. But Hamilton straight he goes. Can he go ahead of his rival, Harvey Cowan then? I don't think he's going to worry about Jonah Martins. We'll have to wait and see. Jonah Martins comes out of the pit lane. So Jonah Martins comes out in the lead, JST in P2, and Morgan Ball could actually get a net P2 as well, as he tries to get the move, heading towards Marine, and then towards Wellington, straight down the right-hand side he goes as well. They bang, and can Morgan Ball keep it up there? Yes, he does. Morgan Ball does keep it up there. His pit stop was timed to perfection at the moment, and if I was Drake Dempsey, I would be worried, but to be honest, I think the McLaren lads in the crew would have minded McLaren 1-2, to be honest, but I'm sure Morgan Ball wanted to be ahead of his teammate. Kind of reminds me, obviously, of Lewis Hamilton, George Russell situation, as we got Isvan Pookie going side by side into Stowe corner with DRS. Easy move for him, up into P4 there, as we got the final few runners on the softs going in into the pits. And Drake Dempsey is going to be the key factor as well to see if he's going to be ahead of Jonah Martins, or will Jonah Martins be ahead? Well, if we've seen what Morgan Ball did in the pit stops, I'm almost certain Jonah Martins is going to come out on top, because the undercut, well, it's definitely proven itself today.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one, I think. Morgan had to send one down the inside of the village to get that move done on JST, and even then, the Alpine, the reigning champion at the moment in this tier, was able to fight back. So we'll see. We've got Drake coming out of the pit lane now with Marcus Towler close behind him. Fritzen as well. Morgan Ball has set the fastest lap of the race. And where is Jonah Martins going to be able to come out? In the end, exactly where he was before, I think. In the end, Drake Dempsey retains the lead of this race and has the fresher tyres. Jonas still in a set second. Marcus Towler in a net third. It's actually Fritzen who's lost out quite a lot in all that. He's dropped behind Morgan and JST. Surprised to see that. But with the 8 seconds of penalties that Morgan Ball has, doesn't need to panic too much. Just needs to try and focus his attention on Jay out in front. It's one of any 5 could win this race. Dempsey, Martins, Towler, JST and Fritzen. Let's not forget Isvan Pookie and Matthew Roberts as well. Still setting pretty decent pace on their older medium tyres. In the next 3 or 4 laps though, we'd have expected the pair of them to have both come into the pits.
Yeah, but don't forget Morgan Ball does have that time penalty as well, and unless there's a safety car, it will be added to the end of the race. Matteo Longay has also got a speeding in the pit lane penalty as well. F1 legend got one earlier on when he pitted onto the hard compounded tyres, but those hard tyres will be making it till the end of this race, but I'm sure that his pace is actually dropping off for the medium runners just a little bit, but he'll probably come to his own a bit more towards the end. We'll have to wait and see, but like we said, the tyre deck not too bad around here. So your running order from a net perspective: Jonah Martins a net P2, Drake Dempsey a net P1, Marcus Towler a net P3, Morgan Bohr a net P4. He's getting one position in the process as well. And your race leader on track is Van Pookie by 4/10 per second, and I'm sure that could be an interesting fight as well, because we will see which is the fastest man on the soft tyres as well. They can go for fastest lap, but they do not get a point for it, I believe, in WOR, which is quite rare compared to other leagues which do have it. So they'll just be fighting for the glory days right now. 6/10 of a second separating himself and Pookie. We've got Hadib as well, who is a little bit further behind as well. Hadib is not having a good day on those mediums. I was expecting to be up there with the top two, but he's definitely not. He's going to probably be in dead last after all these pit stops happen with the other drivers in the top two.
Yeah, he's got no penalties though at the moment, so you'd expect him to come out ahead of Legend, and you never know. If one guy or Morgan Ball have a few problems getting more penalties, he could still pick up a point in this race. All is not lost for Hazif Fernando. Do not give up. You never know what could happen. Still half the race to go. Who says you won't find magical pace on that set of the soft tyres? Harvey Cohen set the fastest lap of the race last time around. It has really cost him going for that pit stop at the same time as Jonah Martins. He's now 3 seconds off the car in front. He's having to burn his ERS to try and catch up. What could have been a brilliant result for Harvey. He's going to struggle to get any real decent points here, and I think needs to rely on a safety car or the drivers battling extremely hard ahead for him to be able to catch up and get himself back in this race. Drake Dempsey sets the fastest lap. He's loving life at the moment. He's got that gap at about 7/10 of a second, and as long as it stays like that, Jonah will not be close enough into the DRS zones to go for an overtake.
Yeah, we've got a big DRS train as well. Matteo Longe is looking racy once again, isn't he? He struggled to keep his tyres up to temperature on the first lap, but he's made a bit of contact with the Red Bull driver of Fritz, and then that is huge for Matteo Longe. That doesn't matter as well, but I don't think he's going to get past Fritz and into Brooklinson. That's how much time this has costed him. Is he going to go down the outside and Fritz and into Luffield? He's not. I thought he was going to for a minute, and we know Matteo Longe, he loves to take risks in a WOR. Sometimes it pays off for him, sometimes it does not. Looking at the ERS deployment for Fritz and Matteo, it's looking like pretty decent at the moment as Matthew Roberts gets past Isvan Pookie for the lead of this race. It won't be for the net lead though, as all they're going for the soft tide a few laps earlier as all. They've taken the pit lane marker board with them. I hope nobody else needs it later on in the race if there is a safety car. But I think one of them or both of them got a penalty, and Pookie got ahead of Matthew Roberts in the pit stop. So that is interesting. Haziv's gone in as well. So the softs should go to the end from here. It should do, but it's not going to be much difference between the softs and the medium. Pretty much 5/10 separate between the two of them as well. But we're going to see Drake Dempsey, Jonah Martins, Marcus Towler. They're going to be leading the race once and for all now. Everyone has made their mandatory pit stop. It's now a fight for the end for everybody. And Isvan Pookie now is within 2.8 seconds of this train.
Yeah, he is. And maybe himself and Harvey can work together with Matthew to get themselves further up. I think Istvan was just a bit too optimistic there, heading into the pits. He had to go on the grass to avoid crashing into Matthew Roberts, and fair play to him for that. I think even if he'd put the brakes on the tarmac, he wasn't getting it slowed down in time. But it's a very tricky pit entry here, and if anyone else tries to go for it, they might find themselves getting caught out. As Pookie and Roberts both work their way ahead of Harvey Cohen then, so they're now up into 8th for 9th with no penalties. Harvey Roberts is in a really good position.
Harvey Roberts?
Harvey Roberts, Matthew Roberts, I should say. Apologies for that. He could get a top 5. Podium is possible, but I think the DRS train is probably going to just be a bit too powerful for that to happen. We have got a 7-car train at the lead of this race. But yeah, him and Istvan need to work together now. Just use the DRS, use the pace of their tyres to see that they can close up to the back of Matteo Longe and the rest of those drivers. Talking about closing up, Jonah Martins has got a lot closer to Drake Dempsey. Got within about a quarter of a second heading into Stowe there. Still not close enough as we head on to the final 11 laps to challenge for his first win of the season. As things stand at the moment, Drake Dempsey would be on 170 points. we'd have Morgan Ball on 152, and obviously Lenny Papinter would be staying on 147. So still, big advantage to the American.
And that will mean then Drake Dempsey just needs to pretty much continue doing what he's doing in the last few rounds, and then he'll win the title next week as well. But we've seen people make mistakes before. We've seen people become complacent, and that is their race over. It's not over until the fat lady sings. It's not over until the checker flag falls. So Drake Dempsey's got to keep his mind and his head in the game going into the final 10 laps of this British Grand Prix, which I have to say has been pretty decent so far, as Matteo Longay has got himself a 3-second time penalty once again. So at this rate, he's going to be careful to stay pretty much in the points, because he's probably going to drop out of the points. He's going to hope there's no safety car at the moment. One person who's looking close to these top two is Marcus Towler in that Ferrari. He's had some bad luck in some races this season, but not here at the British Grand Prix. But with Jonah Martins with the DRS2, then that is pretty much him game over for that move for the time being. But he's going to play the patient game at the moment. We've got JST almost doing the same thing on Morgan Ball there as well. With Morgan Ball with a time penalty, Morgan Ball could drop down a few positions as well. Not too much, because two other people have got time penalties around them too. So Morgan Ball's deficit won't be as much as previously feared too. Istvan Pukki set the fastest lap, but Harvey Karen, he says the fastest lap on the medium tyres. Harvey Karen's pace on the mediums looks pretty decent, but he's pretty much the lowest out of the medium runners right now, as he's got passed by them. So probably the soft runners were caught by a bit of traffic. Expect the softs to set the fastest time alight pretty much in the next few laps also, I would say. But yeah, they're not catching up as much as we would have liked, which just shows that the alternate strategy is definitely not powerful. Soft to medium is a lot better, but we will have to wait and see. Lap 17 and 26, anything can happen, and it usually does. Can Drake Dempsey keep the lead?
Yeah, he's looking good for it at the moment. He's just doing what he needs to do, and again, he's saving the ERS now, even though he's at the front of the field. This is what Yona was not able to do earlier on, and he's still not able to do. He's still not able to just keep hold of that ERS and be in a good position. And I think it's a good job he has got the DRS, because the last couple of laps, Marcus Towler was extremely close at the exit of Chapel. Not the case on this occasion. And if it wasn't for the Aston Martin having the DRS, he might have found himself in a bit of trouble. Likewise, with Jay on the back of Morgan, and maybe even Fritzen and Matteo Longay on the back of the cars in front of them. Matthew Roberts now gets ahead of Istvan Pukki. That gap is down to 2 seconds. Fair credit to Harvey Cowan. He's on the medium tyres. He's on an older set of tyres, and he's still managing to stay within DRS range. And of course, as they close up, he's going to beat Pukki on penalties. He's going to beat Longay on penalties. Who knows? If they get close to the back of Morgan Ball, he might even be able to beat the Welshman on penalties, which would be bad news for Morgan. He might still only finish 8th in this race at McLaren, and if so, that's one hand on the title for his teammate.
Yes, indeed, as we're seeing Matteo Longay trying to go for a move then on the Red Bull driver, heading in towards Brooklyn once again. I think that's where we're seeing the main moves in this race. He's going to try and go the long way around, is he? He's going to go the left-hand side. He decided in towards Luffield. Oh, not much space left between the two of them as well, but I thought Matteo was going to be risky once again, but he's not risky. He's decided to take a cautious approach for these next couple of laps, I would say as well, but he doesn't want to be staying behind Fritzen too long. These soft runners are catching them like ducks to water. They're pretty much planted on this racetrack, so Matteo Longay must be looking in the mirrors at the moment of the two soft runners and thinking, hang on, I need to get past Fritzen and faster. Speaking of Matthew Roberts, he's got a time penalty, so I think that will be a sigh of relief for Matteo Longay anyway, as Istvan Pukki gets past before even Stowe. So now switching hands once again for the lead of the soft runners at the moment. I think we can see that change for quite a while there. JST looking close on the back of Morgan Ball once again there as well. He could be on course for a good result too as well, as Istvan Pukki set the fastest lap of this race, 1:27.4 times are tumbling right now. We don't have long to go to the end of the race. Let us know in chat who you think is going to be winning this race. We will be keeping an eye on the chat as it continues as well. More time penalties are starting to come into fruition. It could change quite a bit, but luckily it's mainly between the likes of P7 to P10, so I think that just gives Morgan another sigh of relief there that he won't drop that many positions now.
Yeah, he'll drop he'll drop 2 as things stand at the moment. Haysif is just not going to be close enough, unfortunately. As again, Matteo Longe gives Fritzen a couple of taps. He's determined to get ahead of the Red Bull. He just can't quite find the gap. He almost was able to send it down the inside into the loop, but just had to back out. He's not going to be able to go for it into Cops. That was never going to work in a month of Sundays. But if he can put Fritzen under all sorts of pressure, who knows, he might be able to make it work into Stowe. He's just running a bit low, though, on his ERS, so this is going to be very difficult for Matteo Longe. He looks racing. It was just that first lap, getting that 3-second time penalty, was unfortunately cost him dear indeed, because since then, he has just found himself stuck in traffic all the way along, back towards the front. That is the closest Jono Martins has got to the back of Drake Dempsey. I wonder if he's just starting to get a bit ready. We're headed into the final 7 laps. We've got a now 10-car train for the lead of this race, as Pookie, Roberts and Cohen have got onto the back of it. Someone's going to make a move shortly, and that could open things right up.
Yes, very, very exciting indeed. Grab your popcorn, because it's going to get very, very interesting as well. The order that you will see at the moment, you may not see towards the end of the race as well, as Matteo Longe is going once again for a move past the Red Bull as well. He's definitely not giving up. He wants P6. P6 is mine, goes Mr. Longe, but Fritz is like, no, if anything you could do, I could do better, as they head towards Luffield as Matteo Longe is spun into Brooklands, and that is chances of him getting past Fritzen over there. He was it looks a bit too overcommitted there, does Matteo Longe, and with the penalties he's got, and with Hazif catching, looks like he could be out the points.
Yeah, just too late on the brakes there. You know, ambition over adhesion, as some others would say. Was never going to get that car stopped in time. Just went straight into the side of Fritzen, and we know what the contact model's like on this game. You do that, you are spinning yourself around, as Pookie now gets himself another time penalty. Jono Martins, I was about to say, this is the closest Jona's been to the back of Drake Dempsey for a long time, and gets that move done. Jono Martins back into the lead of this race on lap number 20. If they swap around every single lap, then Yoda would end up taking the victory in this race. So Drake's got to be a bit careful about this one. Got to think about when he goes for a move. He knows he can't afford to hang around, though, because Marcus Towler's right behind him. I wouldn't mind taking the lead of this race. It's going to be a very fascinating final 6 laps as Longe pulls into the pits and retires. So that promotes Hazif and F1 Legend up a position. We said things were going to start getting interesting. Longe went for a move, didn't make it work. Jono Martins going for a much more conventional overtake. He takes the lead with 6 to go.
Well, sometimes you've got to know when to make the move as well. Sometimes if there's not much space, do not go for it. Just be patient as well, because otherwise mistakes with what Matteo has done could come into fruition right now. And we saw that Drake Dempsey, he was thinking about going for it, but he knows he's playing the long game right now, and he's just so close to them right now. To JST is pretty much thinking the same thing on Morgan Bull, but he's got nothing left to fight right now, because he knows that Morgan Bull's got more penalties. But Fritzen is Van Pookie, Matthew Roberts in this train as well. You know, this is going to be tougher for the guys behind this train, because you don't really want to be stuck behind any of these guys sooner rather than later. Even though you may lose out on DRS, who cares? Who cares? You've got to go for the move. And you can see Jono Martins is pulling away. Or I wonder if Drake Dempsey is just going for an interesting tactic. He is going for an interesting tactic, as you were saying earlier on. So interesting to see. Drake Dempsey, though, he's looking like that he could potentially get Jono Martins' next lap as well. And I wonder if Jono Martins is seeing what Drake Dempsey is thinking at the moment. Can Jono Martins hold on to this race victory? Can JST get P4 on the road, or maybe even get a podium potentially as well, because he's still on this train too? Can the soft runners come into play as well? Well, they're not even close right now. They're 2 temps, but saying that, is Van Pookie trying to get past Matthew Roberts for the millionth time this race, but this time in an unconventional way, in towards Arena and to the Wellington straight. And that was pretty much a very brave move, but he got it done. It was very tidy too. Well done to him. Fritzen looks like he's very fast on those medium tyres. Shame he's not where he started, but still a decent amount of points considering he only scored 2 points like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, and he's got no penalties at the moment, and I realised by saying that I could jinx him, so apologies, Fritzen, if that is the case. He's going to get a top 5 finish. That's very nice for him at the moment. It looks like he's a bit slower in the straight line, and I think that's why we're sometimes seeing, you know, Pookie get a bit closer on that occasion, Longe earlier, working out, and after what was a brilliant qualified for Alfa Romeo, both of their drivers failing to finish this race, not ideal for them. whatsoever. Fritzen all over the back of JST. Pookie all over the back of Fritzen. Matthew Roberts all over the back of Pookie. Just nothing doing at the moment. Everything stays as it is, and Drake Dempsey back at the front on that occasion couldn't get close enough, even if he wanted to go for the lead of this race. Is he going to leave it right until the final lap? It could make a big difference as Pookie sends one down the inside of Vale, gets the move done on Fritzen. I know he's got a penalty, but Pookie's thinking, if I can just work myself way up the order, 8 seconds of penalties, that's the same as what Morgan Ball's got. I might just be able to get myself 1 extra place here if I can gain 2 extra moves in the final 4 laps. And again, that just swings the pendulum back towards Dempsey in the championship hunt.
We know that Pookie is only a reserve driver, but still he wants to score as many points as he can, wants to gain as much experience as he can as well, and any points does count towards this fight for the championship, and any points lost could come back to bite you in Brazil as well, as Pookie almost hit the back of JST there into Luffield and Woodcote, but luckily he did not as well. But Pookie's just eager to get going at the moment, and Matthew Roberts just not having the best of times on the soft compound tyres then. With 4 laps to go of this British Grand Prix, it could go either way right now. No comments in the chat at the moment on who you think could win this race. Well, I usually predict things, but I'm not going to predict right now because I'm worried I'm going to jinx people at the moment. But Pookie is looking like he's going to go for a move on JST. Morgan Ball covers JST and JST covers Pookie there. So pretty much a double-edged sword for Pookie, unfortunately. But he could get them into Vale. We could see Marcus Towler almost go for the move there as well. Oh, bit of contact. They made contact with JST and Pookie, unfortunately. JST has gone for a spin. I'm almost certain that could be sent to the stewards. And JST chance of capitalising on Leonard not here. Well, it may not happen now. Leonard may stay 4th at the end of this race, even without being here.
Yeah, and that could end up securing a 4th place in the championship no matter what for Leonard at the moment, as Jay was his closest driver. I think Jay was maybe just focusing on Morgan Ball ahead of him, sort of went for an overtake and didn't realise that Pookie was as far along his side as he was. 3 into 1 wasn't going to work. Unfortunately for Jay, he spun round. If he stays close, he's got a chance on the penalties here as Matthew Roberts now works his way past Fritzen. Fritzen's trying to hold off for all he's worth down the inside of Luffield, and he has been able to do so. So Fritzen just struggling a bit more now in this race, but still doing a pretty good job indeed. 2 laps in a row, Pookie has tried things. Oh, there's contact between a Mercedes and a Red Bull.
That's Matthew Roberts.
Matthew Roberts trying to go alongside. Just didn't quite make it work. Understeered into the side of Fritzen. And now he drops a long way down the order. And what looked like a good result for him has gone out the window.
That is a shame for Matthew Roberts as well. Every time we say good things about Matthew Roberts, he spins. So that is an example of a commentator's curse, unfortunately, as well. It's crunch time now for the British Grand Prix. We could see Drake Dempsey try to go for the move into Stowe on the neck clap, or even the Wellington straight. It's Jonah Martins versus Drake Dempsey for the race win. Imagine the scenes if Jonah Martins takes victory after some horrific luck this season. His last podium, I believe, was at the track he must not be named Grand Prix. Actually, I'm going to call that track that because we can't name that track. But Jonah Martins, I think, last got a podium there. But imagine if he gets the win here. That will be amazing. But I wonder what Drake will do in this situation. He's ahead of his teammate, no matter what happens. He's also going to, I think, outscore. I think he's going to close in on Lenny Babidi. He's actually going to still lead the championship anyway. But I don't know. I would want to probably get past Jonah Mines anyway because I want to win this championship. So we'll have to wait and see. Penultimate lap. Anything can happen around here. I don't know. I think Drake Dempsey's just going to leave it all for the final lap, but it may be too little too late. I'm going to go for a prediction, and I may have probably jinxed them, but I think Jonah Martins has got this in the bag. If Drake Dempsey's got to go for the move, he's either got to go for it this lap or next lap. He's going to go for it this lap, maybe. No, Jonah Martins closes the door on Drake Dempsey. Could this be game over? I don't know. He's still got another chance. Drake Dempsey may have to take some risks in this final lap.
Again, Drake's got a lot more VRS than Jonah Martins, and a couple of laps ago, he decided to stay back and didn't go for the move on Jonah. Will he regret that? Final lap of the race. Istvan Pookie was all over the back of Morgan Ball. That battle for 4th and 5th out on circuit. Who knows what it will be on after penalties, but he wasn't able to make that one stick. Drake's closing into Yona. I think Drake is going to do this. I think he's going to at least attempt to do this. He's going to go for the victory. He knows that 7 points could be all important at the end of next week's race at Brazil, depending on what happens with Morgan and depending whether Lenny turns up as well. Is he going to think about a move into Brooklands? No. Stays back on this occasion. Let's not forget, if these two make contact, maybe we could see Marcus Towler take a victory.
Wow.
He's been third all the race long. He's stayed there patiently. Maybe, the hair of the tortoise. It could be the tortoise coming out on top, and maybe Marcus Towler could take this win.
Let's hope we don't see a Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen type incident into Stowe Corner. No, we do not want to see that. And we're looking at Drake Dempsey DRS right now. 73% versus Yona Martin's 29. So this could turn the tables right then. Drake Dempsey has left it all on the line. He could defend off Yona Martins. He could attack from Yona Martins. So we'll have to wait and see. Here we come then. Drake Dempsey, this is his final chance to get the win of this race, and maybe this could pay off for him as Yona Martins goes the long way round this time as well. They're still going to go side by side, heading towards Vale then. Drake Dempsey takes a better run, and this could be the move that he was looking for. But no, Yona Martins tries to cut off. Could this be enough? This could be a photo finish, and Drake Dempsey just takes the win from Yona Martins in P2. Marcus Towler gets on the podium as well. He'll be very happy with that. Fritzen, after all of that, his best result in WOR. He got 2 points for 4 tonight. He's got more than that as well. Brilliant stuff. He'll be happy. Harvey gets P5. Morgan Bull, P6. So he only lost, I think, 2 places out of all that. So well done to him. I think he probably only lost even 1 there. Pookie in 7th. JST, 8th. Hazif, good result actually in 9th. And Matthew Roberts in 10th. And Legend, the only finisher to not score a point. Wow, I think I'm going to need my voice back up after that. That was incredible. Drake Dempsey, just like qualifying, he left it all to the last lap. I thought he wasn't going to do it, but he proved us wrong there.
Yeah, Jonah, he tried everything. Maybe if he had 1 or 2% more ERS, he'd have been able to get that one. He had a tiny twitch out of Vale as well. And I thought Drake had gone too deep into Vale. Actually, I didn't think he was going to be able to get the car stopped. I thought Jonah would get the cutback. And just those medium tyres on the Aston Martin didn't quite give him the purchase he needed into the tarmac. That allowed Drake Dempsey to take another win. 4th victory of the season. He's now a big favourite for the championship. He's on 170 points. Morgan Ball on 148. A 22-point lead. It's going to be extremely hard for Morgan to close down in that final race of the season.
Indeed. So the American, once again, he takes 1 step closer to his maiden title at WOR, but can Morgan Bull stop him next week? Or even Lenny Papinto as well. We'll have to wait and see. So here's your running order then. Drake Dempsey wins from 2nd on the grid. Yona Martins just misses out, but fair play to him. Brilliant result. Another podium to his books. We got Marcus Towler in P3, Fritzen 4th, Harvey 5th, Morgan Bull, the Welshman, can only manage 6th, but still some decent points. Isvan Pookie takes P7 and the fastest lap to boot as well. JST in 8th. Hazib in 9th, Matthew Roberts in 10th, F1 Legend, your final finisher, and only 2 retirements on Matteo Longe and Ryan Jacobs. So there we go then. I'm very excited for the championship finale in Brazil. I nearly said Abu Dhabi. I was thinking about another league there. It's not Abu Dhabi, it's Brazil. Well, Morgan Bull and Lenny Papinta will need to have a good race next week in order to challenge Drake Dempsey, but I wonder if Lenny Papinta won't be too bothered about the title and just focus on either being in Tier 1 or anything like that. So I think the main fight is going to be the 2 McLarens next week.
Yeah, I think it's always an interesting situation. I can see why Lenny's decided to go for the, to prove himself in Tier 1. Perhaps not too bothered about the Tier 2 championship, but then again, will he ever get a chance again to win a WOR title? We'll have to wait and see. Drake's done what he needed to do, though, in his absence. A superb job. He's taken the victory. 22 points ahead in the championship. If he finishes in the top 8 next week, he will be the champion.
Yeah, so that is very key for him to do that. And Drake Dempsey has just shown the consistency this season. There's been a few races where he's lost it a little bit as well. I'm trying to remember. I think Monza came to mind as well, where we had crazy changeable conditions as well. But apart from that, he's performed very well indeed. We have got pretty much 3 drivers waiting for interview, or the top 3 actually. So we are popular tonight, I have to say. But before we do the interviews, who is your driver of the day?
Ooh, It's a tough one. Do you know what? I think I'm going to go for a bit of a left field choice. The only mistake he made was going for the pit stops earlier. And that was Harvey Cohen. Managed to get himself a top 5. He had some brilliant pace today. He could have got himself a podium if it wasn't for that mistake. And I'm sure he's kicking himself, but did a great job to work himself up. And especially to stick with Matthew Roberts and Istvan Pukki when they were on the soft tyres. He was setting fastest laps on the mediums.
Yeah, indeed, and he almost got the fastest lap overall as well, which was great to see as well, and he's settling quite nicely on the PC side. So without further ado, let's get in the top 3 for the interviews, and we'll start with the man who pretty much took the lead on the final few corners of the last lap. It is our new championship leader, Drake Dempsey. Drake Dempsey, can you hear us?
Yep, I can.
Congratulations, you left it all to do in qualifying and you left it all to do in the race as well. Tell us, how does it feel to have the advantage going into the final race next week?
Relieving is a good word, maybe. I'm certainly relieved that I don't have as much pressure on my back, but I'm just going to try to probably damage reductions next race. Necessarily need to win, I just need to get enough. So I'll do my best to just finish where I can, my best ability.
Pretty much you would need, I believe, a top 8 to stand a chance in taking the title, which you have done in the past as well. And obviously you had your teammate Morgan Ball fighting for the title as well. You know that you had the constructs in the bag. What was the team tactics? Was it just every man for themselves in the final 2 races now?
Morgan, he had an unfortunate race, of course. He's finished P6. So he's on the back foot, most certainly, which is unfortunate. He got a penalty in a pit lane and had some unfortunate warnings. He had better showing than what he finished, but it was, he said he's gonna most likely just try to help out at this point, but yeah, I'd say it should be, if you're in the title fight, you shouldn't give up.
Yeah,
So
that is a good tactic. That is a good advice there. So Morgan Ball, if you are listening, do not give up, because I would like to see a title fight between the 3 of you next week. I could see that after obviously Yona Martins got past you, I think it was around lap 20, I can see that you were just being patient and waiting for the tactic game because you knew Yona was going to have DRS otherwise. Was this your plan all along when Yona Martins passed you, just to stay behind until the final lap?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could have held it, but I was having more ERS. We were running lower wings on the one, lower on the front and rear than him, so certainly had a little bit of an advantage, and he was abusing apparently. I had that information from him, but yeah. So he started the final lap at like 55, and I had like 100 for most of the time because it just gained so much, the wings. So I wasn't struggling at all during the race, so it was just trying to stay as close as I can on the final lap and in general. But yeah, we had yeah, it stressed me out. I just tried to take the line since I was quite a bit ahead in the final corner or final chicane.
It was so close.
Yeah, so I just tried to take the line and not lose too much time, and it was close. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, with a track which is so high speed, and I was looking at your ERS, you were pretty much almost had the full tank at all times. Were you just tempted to use the ERS before you made the overtake?
I had enough to use just to keep close as I could, so I definitely did. But it was a good battle, clean, respectful, so
Yeah, it was very respectable.
I have nothing to complain about. In qualifying, I had some issues on the outlap. My wheel had a message pop up saying exceeded maximum rotation, so I had to restart it. And it was weird, and so I had to restart it again, and it lost force feedback, and I wasn't able to do my first run.
Oh.
Then the second run, it was still kind of weird on the force feedback, so I turned it up 10, so that was 115 on the game, so...
Jeez.
It still didn't feel normal, so I turned it up to 120, and it felt normal enough, so I hope it fixes itself. But it felt nothing really different. But then again, I was running 15 more force feedback in the game than I usually would.
And then there's me on about 75% on force feedback, so it shows how much stronger you are compared to me. Luke, any questions for our race winner?
Yeah, congratulations, Drake. As we've said already, you only need a few points next week to secure the championship. Do you change your approach going into Brazil, or do you just carry on doing what you've been doing?
As much as I would like to win, it's not entirely necessary. I'm not going to try to take any unnecessary risks I would possibly take if I was on the back foot going into the final round. But I'm most certainly not going to be sending any lunges, I don't believe. But I do think I'll still try my best, of course, as I always do, and finish as high as I can. But I'm not going to go for a move that may or may not be there.
Alrighty.
And one final question for me. You have got quite a big lead. If Tier 1 comes knocking next week, do you take the risk of going for a race in Tier 1, or do you just stay here and secure the championship?
I'll secure the championship. I'm focusing on the championship. That's why I haven't raced in Tier 1 when I had a chance to.
Oh yeah, 'cause you got offered as well as Lenny, didn't you? And you turned it down. To be honest, I think you made. Did you think? Yeah, I think you made the right decision just staying with Tier 2 for the final 2 races.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was smart by Lenny to just race in Tier 1, even if it is of course, the higher tier where you probably get more competition, of course. I'd try to stay and fight for the championship, which is my focus, and priorities got to be set, so I knew what I was trying to do. So I'm going to secure it if I can, of course, and it's looking pretty good, of course. I'm saying, of course, a little bit too much, but yeah, but I'll do my best, of course. Man, I'll do my best as much as I always do, and yeah, focus on what I will here. Hopefully get a drive in Tier 1 next season, which I believe would be
That'll be an
possible.
achievement. That would be an achievement, not gonna lie. Congratulations on the race victory. We will go and let you celebrate as well. Best of luck for the final round and Brazil. And now I'm gonna pass it over to Luke to interview our P2 man who came so close to getting the win from Drake Dempsey. It is Yona Martins.
Yeah, we'll bring Yona into the interview room. Congratulations on a second place. So close to taking your first win of the season. It looked like, did you just get a tiny bit of wheel spin coming out of Vale on the final lap?
Yeah, I think what lost me the win in general was my exit of Maggots and Beckett. But on the exit onto the line, there was indeed a little bit of wheel spin, and then I had to steer a lot because Drake and we were side by side, and I can't run into him, obviously. So I kind of oversteered a little bit, but it was fine. Like, I would not have got him anyway. It was only front wing between the win and P2, but it was still a good battle. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, certainly. You've put in some good performances earlier on in the season, getting a podium or earlier on at Sochi, and then this has been your first podium since then. Do you think you've grown in confidence? Because you seem to have had a little bit where things didn't go your way. Does this give you hope that you can end the season on a high at Brazil?
It's Brazil. That's good. Good to hear. I like the track. I know Drake is very, very fast on Brazil, though, so it's going to be a tough battle. But I think, after the start of the season, I got a little bit unlucky. Then the motivation fell off a little bit. So there was less amount of practice, and in general, I was a little bit unlucky throughout the season. But it always happens. But it's good to at least bounce back here with a decent result. Obviously, I would like to win, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. Maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe next week. Jess, any questions for Yona?
Well, with you almost getting the win this time in Britain, do you think you're going to take the dub in Brazil next week, or are you just aiming for points?
To be honest, it depends. I'll obviously try to fight for the win, but I know Drake is in a championship battle, and we are not teammates here, but we are still WR teammates. So in the grand scheme, if me giving my position to Drake would give him the championship, I would give that up as a sort of team orders. But obviously the goal will always be to win and to finish first on track and without any penalties.
Brilliant stuff. We will let you celebrate. Congratulations, Yona Martins. Your best result of the season at P2, and best of luck for the final round next week.
Thank you.
And now we're going to move on to the man who pretty much was under the radar at times. He was pretty much P3 for the whole race. It is Marcus Towler. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Yeah, you must be after that podium finish as well. Did you have a sneaky hope that you could get either the win or P2, or was P3 the best you could have done?
I mean, obviously sitting P3 the whole race, also net P3 the whole race, and then in the last lap in Stowe, I just caught a whiff of understeer and couldn't make the move on Iona, but I would anyway never medal 3 wide into the Vale chicane. Would never just work.
Yeah, indeed. And to be honest, when you saw some more people spinning behind as well and get some penalties as well, were you worried that you were going to get any penalties? Were you even close to be getting a penalty?
Fortunately, unlike friends, I didn't really have any warnings this race, so I was chilling, and we just nailed the setup. It was very good over the curbs. It was good on the straight line. It was good in the corners. Just found a flow and just didn't pick up any warnings and just drove as clean as I could.
Indeed. And what was your tough moments in that race as well? Because the dirty air did not help a lot as well. Were you worried you were gonna just buckle under the pressure?
I mean, nah. I think I held good pace all race, and I think dirty air wasn't really a problem. And the toughest moment was probably electing whether to go for it or not into the last chicane, but yeah, just settled for a P3.
Yeah, and going into the final round in Brazil then, if you are due to race in Brazil, which could be likely due to the turnout in the last few races as well, what are your expectations? Because you are a reserve driver now. Are you going to be treating it the same as if you are a full-time driver?
Yeah, I mean, like I said the last time, I'm going to put a good amount of work into the last round, and Brazil. As I actually said last time that Brazil was going to be the strongest of the 2 tracks remaining, and we got a podium here. So looking forward to see what I can do in Brazil.
Indeed. And Luke, any questions?
Yeah, just one question for me. Congratulations on 3rd place, Marcus. You seem to spend that entire race in 3rd. Were you tempted to go for an aggressive undercut or maybe even aggressive overcut just to try to get yourself out of that train behind Drake and Jonah?
Pre-race, I was advised by one of my friends that the overcut was actually better than the undercut, and so I tried to kind of like fake Jonah into the pits, which I think worked. I don't know, and then me and Drake just went another lap extra, and we came out as we were. So that's just what happened.
Yeah, but always tough when you are 3rd man in the train. But congratulations on another podium.
Cheers.
Brilliant then. So, without further ado, it just leaves us to wrap up the stream there. Thank you guys so much for watching. And before we go, Luke, any final thoughts?
It's also starting to look really good for Drake all of a sudden. He had that run where things weren't going great for him. 2 wins in a row with Lenny not being at any of the last 2 races. Has really put him in the prime seat to take the championship. And it's great to hear him say, I'm not bothered about Tier 1. I just want to secure this championship. And then obviously maybe focus on if I get a Tier 1 seat next season.
Yeah, I think he has the right approach, to be honest, as well. He has the focus, he has potential as well, and he'll probably be gutted if he doesn't get the title next week, but he has pretty much less pressure, to be honest. I think it takes him to not score to not win the title, so the title is his to lose. But, you know, anything could happen. Morgan Ball could get a win with basically Drake getting 9th or lower. I think that's always going to take at this point. Lenny Papinza could sneak in a win potentially as well, but he may be called to Tier 1 again. To be honest, I don't think Lenny is bothered about any championships at the moment. He just wants to get as much Tier 1 experience as he can. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out our sponsors, Grid Rival. We have an F1 22 Fantasy League with them as well, and you can get the more people that join our league, the more that gets added to our prize pool as well. So make sure you check them out, and also go to SimStaff as well, which provide some SimStaff solutions. I believe we have a discount with them as well if you want to use their services. Thank you guys for watching. If you do like this video, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on. Thank you to Luke for joining me as always, and obviously well done to our podium sitters. We will see you next week, same time, same place, championship finale in Brazil is going to get very, very feisty indeed. We hope you enjoy it. Have a good evening and good night.
On his debut, Jarno Opmeer wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ronhard takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Stop it! Around the outside operated line shadow is contact again Ronha is around
Melanie, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out and we're racing in Season 12.